This initial stage I'm doing pose to pose. So my first pose here is going to be a neutral pose, and my second pose I'm just going to try to get another extreme. So in this case I'm going to have the character like step forward and put his arms up, one arm up and one arm down. And I think that's going to give me a pretty decent motion. So once I have those two poses locked down and I'm happy with the poses, I'll take the first set of keyframes for pose 1 and I'll paste that after pose 2. So within my symbol it's going to go pose 1, pose 2, pose 1 when it's cycled properly. Okay, now that we are done keying, we can get into tweening. So to tween, I want you to group select all your keyframes, right click, and create auto tween. First thing you're going to notice when you create auto tween is that there's these blue bars that go between your keyframes. That is the auto tween. It's finding the straightest line from pose to pose. If your pivot points are in place, double check before you hit auto tween. They're all in the same space. You can double click on the pivot points to return them to their original spot. Your character should be moving almost correctly. You're going to notice that limbs are going to be moving off of their joints. Things are going to be moving in very straight lines. It's going to look kind of robotic. The next step, tweening, is now taking this raw auto-tweened material and making something special out of it. In animation, one of the major principles is called timing, how fast or how slow a character moves between pose to pose. We can manipulate that easily within Flash by using the ease in, ease out parameters bar. You'll find that in your properties. So if you go up to under Tools, Properties, under Motion Tween, there will be something called ease in, ease out. Select the blue bars on your timeline of the auto tween, and you can adjust the ease in, ease out. To ease in means that you would be moving faster at the beginning of the movement and then slower at the end. And to ease out means you'd be moving slower at the beginning of the movement and then faster at the end. Let's change our timing here. For me, I'm going to have my character easing out of both of his movements. So that means he's going to be moving slower out of his pose and faster into his pose. The spacing of the poses are also going to be further apart towards the end of the movement and closer at the beginning. Now that I have my timing set, I have to lay down keys. And I want to put a keyframe at every other frame. At every other frame on your timeline, on each layer, have a keyframe. So select that entire layer, and in my case it's F6 to add key, or you could right click, add keyframe. Do that for every other frame once your timing's laid down. Now that your timing's laid down, you can start to correct the animation and get those limbs back into the spots that they're supposed to be. Pull and drag those forearms and hands back into position and make it look somewhat respectable. So now we're tightening up our animation, making sure our character is following arcs. The computer, the auto tween, put our character on the straightest lines from point A to B. We're going to make those straight lines into arcs, which are more pleasing for the eye. Again, another principle of animation, element of animation. Secondly, we're going to add follow-throughs. You'll notice on my character's hands, they're dragging with their motion. It's called secondary motion, another one of our principles of animation. Once you've corrected your arcs and added secondary motion, your animation is complete. Outside of the symbol, your character should be going into his second pose and back into his first pose and repeating ad nauseum. So that's it. You've created your first cycle animation. Congratulations. Thank you for listening to this tutorial. If you have any further questions, come to me and I am happy to help. Let's get after it.